Hello, people of YouTube.
Hello.
I am American McGee.
I'm Martin.
Yes, you are. And we are coming to you live from Shanghai in the underground lair, deep beneath the bowels of American's house.
Not that deep.
We're not really, and we're not in a garage or anything. We actually do have a proper underground lair that you have to walk down the stairs to get into. And it does make for a pretty nice YouTube studio, though.
It's not too shabby, is
Not
it?
too shabby. We have rearranged things a bit today. Martin, what have we done?
Not much. We've moved the camera slightly because in the past we had to sit like here to get us both in frame. I mean, we were literally sat like that. But now we can like chill out and we were like, yo.
You look much more chill, Martin.
What's happening, man?
That's good. Yeah. So we are going to be doing the usual things today. For those of you who've never been here before, we will be reviewing artwork from Alice Asylum. We'll be talking about our various projects. We're going to be giving away prizes. What are they going to win today?
For the first three, we're going to give them a awesome.
I've heard that coloring books are supposed to be therapeutic. Sort of relaxation technique for adults. Do you think that applies to coloring books where there's people with their heads chopped off? And I mean, there's some pretty violent imagery in here. There's the big bad wolf, and he's holding on to the head of one of the pigs that he's murdered. I don't think that's therapeutic.
That could relax some people, I guess.
Maybe.
Or the illustrated book. Ooh, with all the 10 fairy tales in. Awesome art from the Out of the Woods game and some life lessons.
It does contain life lessons.
It does.
We did an analysis of each of these stories. And for instance, the takeaway from the story of Rapunzel, which I don't know if you know, but starts off with the father stealing garden vegetables from the yard of a nearby witch. And this is how Rapunzel ends up with the curse on her head. Did you know that?
I did not.
Well, one of the first lessons that we said here, the takeaway from the story of Rapunzel, lesson number 2, don't trade your first and only child for salad greens. In other words, learn to negotiate. Negotiation involves conflict, which means you must learn to embrace conflict. It's part art, part skill, and the only way to get better is to study and get better. This is a critical skill that most people never learn and don't learn until too late in life. It's useful in personal relationships, work situations, and when confronted by witches from whom you've been stealing.
So wise.
Very wise book.
I was mildly distracted because Stream Elements has kicked in.
Woo!
We're trying Stream Elements instead of Nightbot.
Right.
It seems like it might be better, but it's really not set up yet because we didn't think it was working.
Okay.
It appears to be working.
Great.
So if it misbehaves, let us know.
Yeah, well, it looks like it timed someone out there. Stefan Christofferson got timed out. I don't know why, but anyway.
And apparently we have some buffering, and somebody else mentioned there might have been an ad after we started.
I don't know how this is all going. We saw an ad when we clicked preview to start the stream today. That was quite unusual. That's why I said that in the chat. But
weird.
Anyway, we do have one more prize that we're going to be giving away at the end of today's stream, and that is the alchemy key necklaces, which look like that.
Wow.
That's a pretty high value gift.
That is.
But we're in a kind of celebratory mood. We are, in fact, celebrating the fact that we're hanging around over 3,000 patrons over on Patreon. And as a result of that, we are also giving away, well, not giving away, but there is a thing you can get as a patron that we've talked about over there, which is this set of this tag. Kind of, what do you call these? Dog tags?
Dog tags.
Dog tags. So there's the Rutledge Asylum patient tag, certified insane. So we're going to be making these tags, and we're going to put a number on each tag, an individual number, and then you will get these, but only if you're at the like $15 and above level.
That is correct.
Exactly. So all kinds of necklace stuff going on today. You could win a set of alchemy necklaces at the end of today's stream. You could also become a patron and thereby get said dog tags. These are the alchemy necklaces. Those are pretty cool. They're made out of stainless steel. and there's 5 of them, and they each represent a different alchemical symbol. Do you know your symbols, Martin?
I do not.
Oh boy. Well, that's Mars, that's Jupiter, that's the moon. And can you guess these 2?
Is it man and woman?
Yes, that's exactly how the chemists refer to these. And the planets are referred to man planet and woman planet.
Do we have necklaces for the other 70 genders?
Yes, there is actually an attack helicopter gender necklace. Yes, we've got all kinds of...
Can you scroll up and click one of those deleted messages? I want to know what Stream Elements is deeming naughty.
Holy shit, this person said.
It doesn't say shit, it says she.
Oh, it's all caps.
Right.
You've got it set to all caps.
Don't do all caps. Mix it up a bit.
Yeah, we're gonna have to be careful because we have not adjusted Stream Elements, and it could be a little bit overzealous in its deleting and muting. So be careful out there.
Yeah. Well,
right.
Now that we know it's working, we can kind of tinker with it a bit later.
In the middle of the stream. That's a good idea, Martin.
Let's fix Stream Elements in the middle of the stream.
All right. Well, why don't we just jump right into it? Today is a day where we have plenty of artwork to look at. We can start with, this is actual physical handmade art that myself and Yin are working on. These skulls, actually, we sell the skulls on Mysterious just as little standalone things. But I've decided that Yin and I could do some physical art pieces, and so we chopped the back. I chopped the back. She's scared of the bandsaw, but I chopped the back off of some skulls, and we built these little boxes, and now she's painting the boxes. And this set is actually the first set, and when it's finished, we're going to send one of them to our favorite sponsors and our friends Andrew and Deborah Hawkins, and then and we'll get to them later because they are our sponsor over at Freaky Phantoms. The other one, I don't know what we're going to do with it. We're going to...
So all that butterfly stuff and the stuff around it is actually on the box.
She's painted one of them, and it's oil paint. She's actually a really good painter. Did you know that?
I did.
Yeah. So she's hand painting the boxes in oil paints, and then we'll have...
That looks so good. I thought it was photoshopped on.
This is photoshopped on.
Oh,
This is her example for herself of what the final result should look like.
Gotcha.
And then she's using that as her guide as she works her way through getting the actual oil painting on there. So yeah.
All right.
Next up, I think many of you may know that we've recently added one of the artists who was on the original Alice game. That is Norman. And Norman is the person responsible for the design, the conception and the design and the look of many of your favorite characters from the Alice series, including the Cheshire Cat, the Caterpillar, the Queen, Alice herself. It was Norm who, after we had gone through lots of trials in trying to find the right look and feel, submitted a sketch of Alice that nailed it, and from that moment forward I knew he was who we wanted to work with for defining the other characters. And so he's back on board, and that is as a result of, and very big thanks to our patrons. If it were not for our patrons, we would not have the funds to hire and have aboard people like Norm. How many artists are now working on the project? We just did the count. 6.
6. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, well, that's where your Patreon funding is going. It is going to pay for a studio now, essentially, of 6 artists, plus Martin. It also helps to pay for Martin.
It does.
But we are putting that money to good use, and this is one of the images that Norman came up with. Now, this is, of course, the unicorn. Now, in the Alice series, there is a lion and there is a unicorn. They were apparently meant to represent political figures in the UK and I think Scotland at that time. Someone's going to have to correct me on that. Norman actually wrote me a note about that, but I've since slipped from my brain.
We have a super chat, first of the day, and look, it's from Tom Resnick. Thank you for that, and thank you for making the Patreon video.
Oh yeah.
Tom says, thank you for getting Norman back. His original concepts for Alice gave me nightmares when I was a wee whelp.
Well, thank you for that, Tom. And yeah, everyone should go over to the Patreon page. And if you go to the main page, Patreon/American McGee, the trailer that plays there now at the top of the page is something that Tom made for us all. And it's pretty cool. It's a combination of imagery and quotes from the first two games, and it leads up into what we're doing now, which is Alice Asylum. And I think it's a pretty cool sales pitch for the project that we're working on.
It's not too shabby.
It's not too shabby.
Better than the last video we had up.
Yeah.
And the first one we had up as well.
Well, you know, these things are getting better over time. Speaking of getting better over time, so this was the first image that Norm sent. Now, one of the things when I saw this was that the tattoos here, which I believe are kind of Gaelic, Celtic.
Well, that's what they've been saying in the chat. Saying, are they Celtic, and
Yes.
maybe it doesn't feel right?
Exactly. So the thing that I was kind of concerned about was that when I saw these characters, I immediately thought of God of War, the most recent God of War. Because this looks like a character that you might have thought you could encounter there. Of course, you know, in that, Crouton travels from way down south in sort of Greek mythology up north into Norse mythology, and he encounters, you know, all of the gods and characters and iconography of the northern deities. And so when I saw this, I thought, ooh, this feels a lot like we've gone up and traveled into God of War territory.
Yeah, it's great picture for sure, but it's a little...
It's off.
The other one that we're going to show, I believe, is better.
Exactly.
Stefan Christofferson sends 10 knock. What's knock?
North Korean credits? I don't know.
Sends 10 North Korean credits, which apparently is not good enough for YouTube to allow a chat.
Yeah.
So it's quite low.
So I just want to give everybody some
you.
notice here. Steffi Lynn got timed out by Stream Elements. It's don't use all caps. I apologize. We don't care if you use all caps, but Stream Elements is apparently an all caps Nazi and will time you out if you use all caps. So don't do that. But Steffi Lynn's deleted message was...
Likes my shirt. It's two cats hugging in a yin-yang.
Wow.
Isn't that cute?
That's so cute, Martin. It makes me want to throw up. Alrighty. So here we go. Back to art review. He sent along an improved and updated version.
Did we write that text for that Stream Elements chat? Drop us a super chat donation. We promise to spend it on drugs and liquor.
Probably
We'll
us.
answer you first.
That was probably us.
I don't remember writing that. It must be you.
Uh-oh. See, now somebody has written in all caps again. He wrote, all caps is not the problem, is it? Well, I'm just going to show you here, Philippe, that yes, you wrote in all caps and you got timed out. So I think don't write in all caps. Why would that be a thing? Why would Stream Elements care?
You know, shouting. It's seen as shouting, I guess.
Okay.
Oh my God, what's happening? Super chat attack. Truth Decay. Wow, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
I
Mr. Decay.
I would like to say, though, Truth Decay, I've stopped drinking completely. And I guess unless you count the
Claritin.
the Claritin I took this morning, I've stopped taking drugs. But
I'll do your half of the drinking if I have to.
I think you're gonna have to. Yeah, a weird thing happened since Yin, my wife, is pregnant, and this thought of having a child coming into the world. I don't know, just suddenly like I started feeling really useless whenever I was drinking.
Right.
And since I've stopped drinking, like you know, I've started waking up at 4:30 in the morning and getting to work, and it's really bizarre. Like my energy levels are through the roof, and I'm really happy that I'm not drinking anymore. So we'll just give all that to Martin.
Yay!
The drugs are for me though. I'll still do the drugs, just not the alcohol.
Who else we got? Rose Elizabeth Cosplay. Thank you for the super chat.
Thank you, Rose Elizabeth.
I assume that's loved this series since the first game when it came out for PC. When the second released on Xbox, I can't stop playing up today.
Wow. Well, thank you very much. Glad to hear that it's brought you so much fun.
People do tend to play over and over.
They do.
We seem to find that So yeah, excellent stuff. Let's see if you play Asylum over and over. Why was that one? Exclamation marks, I guess. Stefan Christofferson, 20 NOK. It's not North Korean credits. It's Norwegian kroner.
All right.
Oh,
That's
well.
good to know.
Spam filters.
Spam filters. We're going to fix this. Caps protection off. Emote protection off. Paragraph protection off. Symbol protection off. I guess you can't put links.
Do we want people to put links in or not?
Oh, here, look. We could just click minor spam. Oh, there you go. Filters off. Okay, we think we've fixed Stream Elements from being a Nazi. So sorry about that.
So yeah, it might take a couple of minutes to work. Who knows?
We'll see. Right.
Right.
Back to art review. So this is the second variation of the unicorn as done by Norman.
Yeah, look at that one go. I like that one.
It's quite nice. I think one of the things that we like about an image like this is that it's sketchy enough that it leaves a lot open to the imagination. And I've seen this before where as an artist is sort of developing a concept, when they've not completely finished it, you can kind of get more on board with it because your brain is filling in the details in a way that it wants. But then when this thing gets finished up, I'm concerned he may end up back in sort of the Celtic whatsy zone, because he's still got a kilt on.
Right.
And he's still got this Celtic bagpipe bag. I don't know what that is. But I do think maybe he's still, you see here, there's still an element of the Celtic cross, whatever that tattoo was.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to say to him in some feedback, and actually I already did, was let's not go there because it's looking a bit too much like we're going to God of War. But I think there's other aspects of this, having the kind of craziness look, the hair. He was clearly locked up in chains. You know, there's a bit of story emerging here. And it's got me thinking about how we're going to face off against this guy as an enemy. Something about his presentation reminds me of the Card Guard Executioner from Alice Madness Returns. And I think people really liked that character in the presentation of it, but I think that our execution on how you fought against him or were chased by him was kind of left something to be desired.
It does have a little something about that, doesn't it, the picture?
Well, I think we both like the idea of a stalker type, large scale, sort of semi-invincible, terrifying character, but I think I'd like to have it be something that goes on a little bit longer throughout the game.
Right.
Yeah, so this might be a good character for that.
It may. Hannah Yarberry sends a super chat. I've been streaming both on Twitch. Both what?
I'm guessing she means Stream Elements and Nightbot.
Oh, right.
Perhaps.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Maybe. Makes sense. Rose Elizabeth Cosplay also super chats again. Yes, I can't wait to play Asylum. Yes.
Thank you for the super chat, Rose Elizabeth Cosplay.
Thank you very much.
You know, this might be a good time to segue into the fact that we are working on, but not yet completely ready to fully announce, but we will show this off a moment here. What is this, Martin?
This is a theoretical, hopeful, next Kickstarter project. The Art of Alice cosplay. So yeah, we've been looking into the feasibility of this. We've been doing maths.
It's not. How many of you in the chat say maths instead of math? I want to know. I find this is, I could get it if you sat down and on the same piece of paper, you simultaneously did some addition, some subtraction, some multiplying, you did all the stuff, but not if it's just a singular thing. You don't do cookings. I don't go to the bathrooms. It's just, I do math. I cook. Do you drives in England?
Maybe.
Now you sound like, what was his name from Lord of the Rings? My preciouses.
Gollum.
Gollum.
Anyway, we've been looking into the feasibility of this behind the scenes. And, it's looking good, but we're not quite ready yet. But we just wanted to put it out there that it's a thing that is possibly going to be happening. So yes, a big coffee table style book. very high quality, shiny pages, full of fantastic cosplayers with little bits of bio about each one. Yeah, kind of looking forwards to hopefully getting this started.
Yeah, well, so one of the things that I think we're doing is I've sent a note off to EA to say that, as I understand it, when it comes to a cosplay book, because cosplay is itself a fair use application of someone else's branding, when you do a book that collects together cosplay, it also falls into the domain of fair use, and so it doesn't technically need to be licensed from anyone. At the same time, because we want to maintain a positive relationship with EA, I have gone to them and said, hey, we're thinking about doing this as a Kickstarter. And the response from them was, that sounds great, go talk to this guy. And that guy being someone who would help us get this clear and make everything all right. And that talk's actually supposed to happen very soon. So fingers crossed. That's one of the reasons why I don't want to fully announce this yet, because it could be that he comes back and says, hey, we don't mind if you do this, but we'd rather you did it after we got our larger deal done, or who knows, right? There's a million permutations on how it could go down. So anyway, this is something that's getting set up, but we're not fully ready to pull the trigger on it yet. So
stay tuned. Tom Resnick is back with a super chat. The unicorn is the national animal of Scotland. Kind of weird. Alice might be aware of that, perhaps if the design were to lean more Scottish.
I don't believe that. Do you believe that? It's true.
Is Scotland the only country that has a fictional national animal?
That's very strange. Why would you have a unicorn as your national animal? Yeah, why wouldn't then Thailand have the mermaid as their national animal? That's very strange. Who did that and why? Okay.
Huh.
Okay, there you go.
What else we got? Did anyone talk about maths in the chat?
Yeah, they went crazy over that topic, but let's hold up for a second. Right. So Stefan here, who did send a super chat, but it didn't somehow rise to the level, says, question for American. Have you guys ever thought of doing anything related to Wonderland from Madness Returns, be it a story, a comic, etc., following up on that, and can't wait for Asylum? Well, actually, the project we did, which was over on Kickstarter, called Alice Otherlands, kind of sort of existed in that space after Madness Returns, in the sense that Alice, after Madness Returns, we surmised that she'd gained the ability to operate her power, the Wonderland powers, in the real world, and also through the minds of other people who she encountered. This is very much like, I've said many times, in the Matrix trilogy, how Neo starts off being pulled out of the Matrix, and then he goes back into the Matrix, finds he has some power there, and then towards the final chapter he realizes he can wield his Matrixy powers in the real world as well, right? So the same thing would happen with Alice. Anyway, that was going to be what happens in Otherlands. So yeah, we have thought about that, and if you go and you check out the Kickstarter for Alice Otherlands, you'll see all the art, and we did a book, and we did some short films and all kinds of stuff like that. So go see it, and thank you for the super chat, Stefan Christofferson.
Hannah Yarberry reiterating with a super chat that when she said both, she meant both games.
She streams both games.
Right.
There you go. Well, both could be applied to many things. Oh, not maths. Maths.
We've got a maths there.
Math. Okay.
It's
right.
maths.
It's maths. Well, so that we didn't lose any super chats in there, did we? No, I think not. Smeagol. Yes, maths. Smeagol. My precious is maths. Good. All right, we've got that done there. Right, what are we talking about? Says, we never really know what we're talking about. It's always just a kind of free-for-all, isn't it?
Yeah, we sometimes get sidetracked.
We do. But we are going through the art review folder, Ancient Child Artistry, so that's what we're talking about, bit by bit. Now, what's going on here?
What is going on here? The name of this piece is Dark Wonderland? Is it?
I believe that is correct.
Oh, there it is at the top. Yes, this will be the next print for our patrons. So that being the people who are charged at $75 and above at the beginning of June. Or the people who managed to complete a 3 for 35 tier will be able to get this as well.
We did some sort of, I put up some sort of like calendar that showed how that was going to work, right?
You do, yeah, you have the calendar in your art folder.
Yeah, I do, but I was trying to find where I'd posted that, because there was a calendar that basically shows how the art prints are going to work for the coming months. And, oh, there we go. Continue reading. Right. So the way that this was laid out was, these are the things we've released so far. This is Dark Wonderland, which will be released for this month. And then it's like TBD, TBDs. It's TBD, that'll be art that we've not yet generated or seen. And then it'll be another one of Omri's cool prints, and then a TBD, and then another Omri print, and then this is like a 2-for.
We have the, like we did last year, the October Halloween super special 2-for-1.
But yeah, this is one of Omri's pieces of art, and it's a beautiful one. This is going to look very nice, blown up and printed in large-scale format, as you can see is done on the wall behind us. Some posters like that one was called off. Come on, finger, move the right way.
That way.
That was called Off with Her Head. That one was called Mushroom Head. That's not easy. So yeah. Anyway, these
Mushroom Head was Joey.
That is Joey.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that behind us there is Off with Her Head. That's one of Omri's prints. And over there behind Martin is Mushroom Head. Anyway, that's what the art prints look like. They're actually pretty large scale, was the point I was trying to make. So there is a whole collection of these on the way. Again, your support on Patreon and getting these kind of physical rewards is what helps power this whole enterprise of making all the other art that we're doing. So it's sort of like art for art. Like you get art and then we get to make more art.
The circle of art.
It's the circle of art.
Mm.
Yes. Now, in the circle of art, we're starting to get into some things like this. This is part of the effort that's being made now to fully map out the new Wonderland. So this is the Wonderland of Alice Asylum, and in this new Wonderland, this is pre-American McGee's Alice, this is pre-Madness Returns. When we get there, the whole place has been blown apart by this encounter with chaos. And so what we're doing now is we're mapping out that blown apart Wonderland, and the way we're connecting everything together is via the Looking Glass Railway. So this is a hub, it's a main hub, and this particular rendition of it shows this kind of chunk of rock. Now a lot of this stuff is just going to be floating off in space because it's like it's been blown apart, right? It's all been blown up. Now on this particular chunk of rock, there will be the main station, and I'm not sure why he's put this stained glass with the cutesy Disney Alice. Maybe he wants us to get sued.
Maybe.
I'm not sure what Omri has against us. He seems quite excited about the project, but that is a very good way to get it completely nuked from orbit. So, but yeah, he's put in here some detail is taken from the design wiki. And so this would be a place the player can visit multiple times. And in this place, there's also going to be the toy store, which we've said is being run by Bumby. But of course, at this point in the story, Alice isn't really aware of Bumby sort of being the ultimate bad guy. Of course, we are, which will make for some, I think, quite interesting dialogue between the characters.
I think it would. And everybody playing the game, they'd be in the know. They'd know. They'd be listening for things.
They would be in the know. And so I think that's a pretty cool representation of one of the pieces of this map. So this is a riff on the design work that Joey did, where there's the entire sort of solar system of this representation of Wonderland. And you can see here these sort of tracks that are connecting together, these islands that are floating around out in space. And so we've now marked out 1 through, I believe it's 9.
I think it was 9.
Yeah, 1 through 9 areas, starting with shock and then moving into denial. Now these are all the stages of grief It would be, in line with the idea that Alice is working her way through PTSD. And so she's going to move through denial and eventually, into depression and then to acceptance. So the effort that's being made now is to really put the skeleton together for where we're going and what we're seeing. And that's also going to help us hang together the narrative, who she's meeting, what's being said, the kinds of missions she's going on. And so I think that we should expect there to be a much better, more organized effort towards defining the final product coming out of this as a result of this. And we need to send a shout out to and a thank you to Omri for taking the lead on setting up the organization, much as like a producer on a game would do, the organization to get all 6 of those artists in line on specific tasks with specific deliverables on a meaningful schedule. And so that's going to ultimately it's going to produce the Alice Asylum Design Bible. And as Omri said in an email to me the other day, there's no reason why the team we have, the 6 artists, cannot effectively create every element of the design from start to finish that's going to be necessary for the production of this game. So that's where we're at right now.
True as well.
Yep.
Somebody asked a question, I don't know if it's on my list of questions, about the world map solar system. Wondering if the rings are going to be all concentrically spinning and twisting around each other in the game.
That's an interesting question. I think it's a visualization question. Is there going to be a place in the game where you were able to look out and see that vista?
Or if you were on one of the worlds, if you looked into the sky, do you see like a big ring like passing over the sky with like another realm
I think
attached
that's
to it?
basically what I just said, and you've reworded it though, and so it's okay.
It's fine.
Yes. So yes, the answer is yes. As far as are we able to render that sort of thing? Are we going to create those sort of vistas? I would like us to do that. Yes, I would like to be able to stand on the chunk of land here that is, say, the representation of anger, which is where the Red Queen is. This is Queensland. And say that we're standing here on the edge of that and looking out onto this vista, and that, yes, we're able to see all of Wonderland off in the distance. That would be absolutely ideal.
You know for a fact people would try jumping off the edge to try and jump down to the next level that they haven't accessed yet.
Maybe, people want to simulate suicide, then better that they simulate it than do it for real.
Maybe. Carlos Torres super chats. Thank you very much. Have you guys ever considered making an Alice manga? I haven't.
Not really. It's not really been a thought.
No, I can see the appeal. I'm sure it would look pretty good in that kind of style. But no, it's never really been a thing that's been discussed.
I think for something like that, someone who is an expert at the creation of manga. Do you say manga or manga?
I say manga.
All right. Well, someone who's an expert at the creation of that sort of content would have to approach us and say, hey, here's an example of what I have in mind, and then we'd have to work with them to define that. So, I mean, it may happen. Certainly one of the things that we're working towards in terms of the license for this coming years is related to merchandise. It's related to books. It's related to the game. It's related to many things. And certainly my hope is that part of what we're forming up is an organization where there is a tremendous amount of output across lots and lots of different forms of medium. And so actually, this is the presentation that we put together for that purpose. And you can see here, what do we do? So it's an IP production studio. That means that in some parts, the primary function of the studio we build may not just be sat there making games all day. In fact, in my ideal vision of this, we have a design studio or a design hub, and then that's oftentimes pushing out the design spec or the guidance or the story or the concept art, the kind of stuff you see us creating now, it's pushing that out to specialized studios who maybe outsource, or they may be within sort of our orbit somehow. But that means we would be producing games, we'd be producing merchandise, we'd be producing film and animation. And so this is exactly in line with the pitch that we're making. Not just, this one is branded for Amazon, but we're actually making this pitch to a number of different media companies and financiers and publishers. And this kind of goes back to an idea that was really popular like 20 years ago when people used to talk about this thing called transmedia. And that wasn't transvestite, transsexual media. It was media that went across, it transcended multiple realms of media production and consumption. So I don't know, we're still pitching the same concept of, we want to do multiple types of content based on IP that we control, we create. So that's what all this stuff is right here. You can see there's a big blob of merchandise.
It's a fantastic looking presentation.
I have to say, it is
well
one
done,
of the,
Alex.
It is a beautiful, beautiful presentation. We're very fortunate to have someone like Alex, for instance, as a part of our team, and who can build stuff like this. And we're very fortunate to have all of you patrons out there to help fund the building of stuff like this. Why don't we reward everybody now?
Yeah, let's do a quick check to see if we missed any super chats.
No.
Did we? Because it jumped a little bit. Let's double check.
I said no. No means no.
No means no.
No means no, Martin. So what are we giving away?
Well, the person, the lucky winner, gets to choose from either the Out of the Woods illustrated book, Out of the Woods coloring book, or Out of the Woods game.
There you
get
go.
to choose one of those.
So how exactly are we choosing this?
Go to the menu now that we're live. See if
menu?
It'll be an overlay, but we haven't set any up. I bet.
Way to go, Font Lord. That is the appropriate face for this.
That's the face you make when there's no way to choose a winner. Well, I'm just going to have to do the pointing at the screen.
Okay. I
so
see.
Everybody needs to spam first.
What are we spamming?
Spam, what face do you make when you can't roll a winner on your YouTube stream?
What face do you make? That doesn't even make any sense. On a scale of 1 to 10, how retarded is Martin? And by the way, I can use that word because it's in reference to my friend Martin, and he is actually medically retarded, so I'm not using it as an insult. But on a scale of 1 to 10, and on a scale of A to Z, how terrible and insulting is American? So you can spam up.
People can do like emoji faces.
And
they can describe it. Look, a kitty face.
Oh, interesting.
A maths face.
Well, anyway, now 6, 0, 10, angry. Oh.
See, people can figure it out.
You're getting a very high retardation rating, though, Martin. I'm sorry to say.
19.
0. Martin is awesome. Wow, that's very sweet. Thank you. I do think Martin is awesome.
I get 11 maths out of 10.
Negative 1,000. Well, there you go. People love you.
Well, that's a lot. Shall we sort of stop that, and I'll close my eyes and point at something with the pen of destiny.
I hope that it's somebody who's rated you a 10 on the scale here. That would be very funny.
We'll see. Oh, it's I'm not looking.
Okay.
This person.
Cheryl Te.
Cheryl Te.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cheryl, you've won the Martin pointing at the screen to determine who won the contest. And so you'll need to do the thing, which is to email mysterious@americanmcgee.com, include your name, your phone number, your address. Do those things in a format that does not cause me to make an angry face. And then we will send out your choice of, and you also need to state that in your email, your choice of Out of the Woods card game, coloring book, or illustrated book.
Why would it make you make an angry face? You've stopped doing that now because I sort this out.
I would make an angry face on your behalf.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know. I mean, I just think they ought to know someone
people
would
have
be
been
upset.
generally quite good with it.
Yes.
Since we've been telling people to format it correctly,
There you go.
people are generally not bad.
That's pretty funny, though. People could see where the scrolling stopped And then they can't see you pointing at the screen, but they saw me highlight where you pointed.
You know what we could do? Well, no, stupid. You could point at the list of people. No, that way.
Here.
Yeah.
Like that.
With your eyes closed.
All right. Let's get back to art review before we...
Taylor asks, what happened to Nightbot? Nothing. We're just trying something new. Because, I mean, Nightbot has its issues. So I did a bit of research, and it seems that Stream Elements has got a lot of cool features.
But what feature were we trying to get out of this today?
Well, it's got all of this stuff on the dashboard.
They can't see that.
We can. It's useful for us.
All right.
And screen overlays.
Which we haven't activated yet.
But apparently are quite good.
All right.
So we'll get to it.
There you go. Up next, this is an interior shot, concept image of the train station itself. And this comes from our artist friend, Sunny. And he had taken a little bit of a hiatus, but he's back. And he has done up the mock turtle as... what would you call that? The station chief? Station master? It's not a conductor, because I thought the conductor was on a train.
Yeah, the station dude. The station something.
I think someone in the chat is going to have to help us out here. But the idea which we had outlined for Sunny and asked him to render was to build this train station out of books. And I think I was kind of hoping for something that had a larger scale feeling, more kind of more like a cathedral, something, I don't know. I was thinking something more, I don't want to say like out of Harry Potter, but there was something
just larger, more grand with archways.
Yeah,
and
I mean, like you
stuff.
look at stuff like this, you know, it's got these cool Gothic archways. You look at things like, I mean, there's a lot of examples of the type of thing. I'm trying to think of something that was a bit more magical. I know I've seen some imagery of this sort of thing, but you get the sense here, you know, these grand arches and these big open spaces. And so I think there's still a little ways to go in capturing the thing that I had in mind. And so I think we're going to ask Sunny to take another stab at this. Now, he's taking a stab at this. I know Omri's also going to take a look at this. So we ought to see a couple of different variations on this location in the coming week or so. And this is going to be critical because this is a place that I think we intend to visit multiple times throughout the game. Again, this will be not only where Alice travels to and from various locations in the game, but it's also going to be where we may have the shops that she interacts with, the place she goes to upgrade or to acquire weapons or abilities, things like that.
Okay.
So I think this is a key location. I kind of get the sense, like, for instance, perhaps it doesn't need a floor. You know, maybe people are kind of flying around on the books. Maybe the trains themselves, the tracks are coming in sort of unsupported. You know, I want it to feel more ethereal. I want it to feel more grand.
Yes.
So there's a ways to go here.
And was it you that said the people in the station, they
well,
look
these
too
are
normal?
Yeah, I mean, these are just...
They're just people.
Yeah, these are just people. This woman in particular, you know, she's just kind of stood there with her daughter like, hey, you know, and I mean, you could imagine suddenly like them looking up and being like, is that a giant turtle? I mean, look, this guy doesn't even seem to be bothered. Where's his head?
It's right there.
Where's his body? Something a little odd going on there. Anyway, so I kind of feel like there's a distinct lack of the sort of magic that we'd like to see in this kind of place. Apparently, this train station is in Tennessee, going to and from Louisville and New Orleans. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like Sunny's got a little more work to do here.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Super chats have rolled in. Scroll backwards, please.
I don't believe there's any behind that there.
There was.
Font Lord.
Was that one?
Oh.
Was there any before that? I don't know.
No, this was all...
Okay, Bats and Tombstones, super chats. Even though I gave you 11 maths, you're still awesome, Martin. Well, you can't get mad at Bats and Tombstones for Cheeto dabbing, really.
This
so
is true.
you're forgiven. It's fine.
All right.
Truth Decay, also super chats.
Oh, hold on. We've got some station masters, admiral, head porter, station master,
Coordinator,
station manager.
I thought that said stationary dirty guy.
Stationary dirty guy. Well, could be stationary dirty gay if you really wanted to misread it. That was one of my favorite porn. Never mind. Let's keep going.
Truth Decay. Will the patient tags be distributed to Patreon backers in the order of which they were backed?
No.
You're welcome for the nightmarish suggestion, Martin. No.
Yeah, that's not nice, Truth Decay. I'm sure you've been reading all of the comments to which I've been replying on Instagram, and I think a few of them on Patreon. You have to keep in mind that the number of patrons who are going to get these tags numbers into the thousands, and the tags are going to show up, and they're not going to be in any form or sense of order, right? There's just going to be a bag of tags. And the idea that we would go through the bag of tags and pull them out and look at the numbers and then have to print the labels and stick, I mean, that's a nightmare.
It's not something I would certainly look forwards to doing. So, no.
Yeah.
No kind of arranging or ordering or sending them out could be done, I'm afraid.
I think it's important, I mean, we've said this before, but I think it's important for everyone to keep in mind that all of this operation, as far as sending things out, and we have to send out like thousands of things a month, a large portion of that is done by myself and Martin almost exclusively alone, and that means there's a ton of signing and packing. I mean, just sat in front of us over there, there are 3 bags of poster tubes. They're not small things, and they don't like take small amounts of time to deal with. It's
quite time consuming.
It's very time consuming. One of the reasons I'm really happy that Omri is coming on board to help with coordinating and organizing some of the production stuff, because believe it or not, in a given week, I have entire days from morning until afternoon or night that are completely consumed with the physical nature of the prints, the signing, the tubes, the whole thing. Please don't add to that. Please
don't do it.
Don't add to that.
If you want to make us cry.
No. No, Truth Decay. But thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Trey Duke. Different denotes neither bad nor good. It only means not the same. Favorite quote that I use frequently in real life. Is that a Cheshire quote?
Sure. Well, it's a good quote.
It is. And it's truthful as well. I wonder what situations you get to mention that in.
Well, I
presumably
think
when something is different.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are people who would take exception with the concept of differences. You know, I mean, even within I was just listening to something yesterday where the guy was talking about how in the formation of the United States of America, there was this concept that all men are created equally, all people, obviously doesn't say all people, but it says all men are created equally. And he took issue with that, and he said that's not really how it works. There's great differences between peoples. And you know, especially from a biological perspective, I mean, the whole concept of evolution and competition, survival of the fittest. And so this quote would go to that, though. It would suggest that a lot of people feel very sensitive when you call out differences today, but differences are not necessarily negative.
It's like a knee-jerk reaction to instantly think, you said it was different, you mean it was bad.
Exactly.
It's not true.
It's not bad.
No.
There you go.
Okay. Oh, Truth Decay is back. What's going on? Thank you for the chat. Sincerely sorry, I actually don't follow on Instagram and don't really use the tweeters, so I don't know if you'd already been inundated with this question. You're on Patreon, aren't you?
Yeah, maybe not reading the comments. This has been asked in the comments on Patreon, and it's fine. I mean, the questions are fine, and I don't mind answering it again. In fact, it's important to answer it again so everybody understands this is not coming out of just like laziness on our part. It's just that the amount of work that would have to go into that kind of picking and sorting and putting these things together, I know from experience that would be days, literally days of non-stop doing that, and I'd rather be focused on some creative stuff. I'd rather be focused on anything else
rather than just sorting stuff into piles.
Basically, yes. So I hope
Right.
you understand that, and I appreciate your understanding of that.
Chaussette super chats to say it's Asteria Visuals' birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Dab.
Wow, happy
So yes,
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Very nice.
I hope Birthday Claus brings you lots of awesome stuff.
Yes. Well, and a big shout out to Asteria Visual. For those of you who don't know, when we do our weekly crowd design sessions where we go through all of the ideas that have been put into the Asylum wiki, it is Asteria Visual who records that, and then he's the one who sends to me the files which we upload to YouTube, and he puts it all together in a really nice format. And so he really deserves a giant round of applause for producing that content for us, because without that, that would be another thing I would be doing that's not packing art into tubes that I barely have time to do. So yeah, thank you very much, Asteria Visual, for that.
Nathalie, you say Natalie or Nathalie? There,
Natalie.
Guibol?
Just read the chat, my friend.
There's more foreign. The Grand Palais something Champs-Élysées could work for inspiration for the train station if made spooky, particularly the staircase. Is it a famous staircase?
You don't know what this is? It's like the
I know.
one of the more famous giant bits of landmark in Paris.
Yeah, but I don't know it visually in my head.
Really? Oh, well, anyway, if you have not been there, if you've not been there, perhaps I've been there a couple times. I've stood in front of this thing, and yeah, it's really beautiful. So,
would it work if made spooky?
Well, yeah, I mean, you see an image like that, of course, it gives us the tiniest, most useless version of that. But yeah, I think this sort of architecture certainly could work. I mean, if you look at this type of thing, beautiful. Now, this, I think, was an architectural rendition of a reconstruction or a sort of improvement on the original design, which I'm not sure that is an improvement, but I like this kind of architecture. This is very Jules Verne, steampunky, pretty cool stuff. So
it is.
Yes, that's a good suggestion. Thank you very much, Natalie.
Priscilla Nosoma super chats to say you talk a lot about chaos, but always denies it when we want to cause it. Talking about Truth's idea of sorting the tags. Would that be chaos? Because it's kind of like the opposite.
Yeah, it's not chaos.
We would be
at all.
putting
It's
stuff in
things
order.
Exactly, and that is not fun. That is the death of creativity. In fact, if you look at the dichotomy between chaos and order, it is in the ordering of things, in the order where you find death and you find. No, chaos would be fun. Chaos is what you're going to get. That is the random selection of the numbers on the tag sent to you without any sort of ordering. That is chaos. So
I often wonder when we do stuff like that, when we do like numbered certificates and whatnot, who gets like the special numbers? Like who gets number 1 or 666 or
we don't
something?
know. Yeah, it's whoever luckily gets them. But I do hope that whoever gets the cool numbers will send us notes and send us pictures of them. That would be
Hope
fun.
so.
I remember seeing that last time around with the inmate certificates, that the people who got cool numbers, they shared that. They thought that was fun.
Excellent.
Yeah. All right, so one more.
Lucas Severin, thank you for the chat. The station is grey inside because of all the people there are visitors for the asylum, but none come for Alice.
I
Are
see.
we talking about that picture we just saw?
Yeah, I think the reference he's making is that we might sort of do a little storytelling of this scene, and that these people are the normal people who are coming to visit the asylum in which Alice is being kept. And so that's why we see these kind of ghostly reflections of them. And of course, as he's saying that none of those people are coming to see Alice, that could be.
Could be.
That's actually not a bad idea. You know, if as you were walking through this train station, you were seeing these ghostly reflections of normal people from the real world, and that, maybe they're playing bits of dialogue that have something to do with whatever's going on in the asylum or with these visitors.
Yeah, that could work.
Something to think about.
Not
Not a
bad.
bad idea. Lucas? Alrighty. Are we done with super chats now?
Are we done? Yes, we've caught up.
There you go. So, next up was... Now, I think we might have shown this off previously, but this is the combination of work that is being done by Norm, who is one of the original artists on the first Alice, and he's producing this artwork in collaboration with Omri. So the background that you see here is Omri's render of the Queen's throne, and then of course we have the rabbit and the headless king. I feel like we did see this.
We saw
showed
a
this
coloured
off.
version. I don't know if we saw this one.
Yeah, I don't know if we looked at the work in progress version of this or not. This definitely has a Pink Floyd The Wall.
Right.
Have you ever seen that, Martin?
Remind me.
Never mind. And this was, of course, the final render of that. And this is an interesting collaboration, because this is Norman's design, and then what's happening is that Omri is going in and he's doing coloring.
Mm-hmm.
So Norm is able to focus on just the sketching, and that's really his strong suit, is to sketch out these characters. And I mean, this is fantastic. Can you imagine coming up against this and going face to face with this character in game?
I'm trying to imagine it in my head in like 3D type of...
It'd just be incredible. And this is, a render of sort of Alice and the scale of Alice on the steps before her throne. God, I mean, this kind of stuff, I can't wait. And of course, we've posited that the rabbit is kidnapped by the queen, and this is how she then gains control over Alice and gets Alice to do her bidding. And so I'm so excited for this. I think that we've got such a great group of artists together now, where one of them can sit down and do this kind of character design, which is just amazing. He says, in case you wanted to see what she was like under the dress. Is that something we wanted to see?
It's not really something that was at the top of my list.
Yeah.
So
it's a little disturbing, but I like that there's a kind of, there's a thinking going into the anatomic details of this character. But back to the main point is that, to have Norm able to create this kind of imagery and focus on the character designs, and then hand that over to someone like Omri, who is fantastic at coloring and rendering, and get a result like this is just amazing.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. So, do you know what time it is?
Ooh, spam time.
What are we giving away this time?
Same as last time. They will get to choose from the Out of the Woods game, Out of the Woods coloring book, or Out of the Woods illustrated book.
There is the...
Whoever the lucky winner should be.
What are they going to spam?
I don't know. What do you... Can't think of anything. I've gone blank.
Which is your favorite of these fairy tale characters?
Ooh, okay.
Ranging from the Little Mermaid to Bluebeard, Rapunzel to Grandma, Brick Pig to the witch. Which witch?
There's lots of witches.
There are actually two witches. There's a witch in the House of Waifs, and there's a witch in the House of Towers.
There's a couple of princes as well.
There's more than one prince as well. And so if you win this prize, you will be able to choose between the illustrated book, between the game, and the coloring book, let's read out another of the lessons.
Okay.
So a lesson from Jack and the Beanstalk. This is the takeaway at the end of Jack and the Beanstalk, written by yours truly. I think I wrote this one. And that is number 8. Don't beat your children. That's a good lesson. This applies to practically anyone who does you wrong, even if they trade your cow for beans. Sit them down. Talk to them. Berating, beating, and otherwise abusing others only leads to resentment. Trust stems from respect. Resentment leads to disrespect. Did you know that, Martin?
Probably on some level.
Yes, well, there you go. Don't beat your children.
I'll try not to.
How do you want to do this?
Should they
This isn't going to
exist?
stop scrolling. So if I do this
But
way,
you could make it stop scrolling. Well, I could make it stop scrolling.
this is really, I don't know about this. But then
So close your eyes.
my eyes are closed.
I'll close mine and I'll wiggle it a bit. Okay, who have we got? Priscilla, is that Priscilla Nasoma?
Yes.
It is.
You wiggled it and you landed on Priscilla Nasoma. All right, so Priscilla Nasoma, you have won the prize as selected by the magic finger, and you know how to do the thing. I think she's won in the past.
Probably.
That's
She's
really
been
weird.
around a while.
But so this kind of shows that it's not just Nightbot that's biased. It's like even my finger is biased.
The wiggling is also biased.
That's very strange. So yeah, Priscilla Nasoma, you have won the prize. And so you need to send an email to mysterious@americanmcgee.com. Include your name, your email address, your phone number, and also your selection. The illustrated book, the card game, or the coloring book. And so there you go. And yeah, I mean, when you do it that way, they can actually see that their name was somewhere near to. Someone says, this is rigged. How could we rig that?
I'm actually wondering, because of the slight delay, when I wiggle this, did it wiggle there?
Don't know. Well, we were looking at it on OBS, so who knows. Anyway, there you go. Priscilla Nasoma, congratulations. You have won a prize.
Woo!
Why don't we do a very quick shout out to our friends, our fans, and our sponsors over at Freaky Fandoms.
The old Freaky Fandoms podcast.
Now, do you know what they were talking about during this week's?
Who is it? Elias. Oh, God.
So have you ever seen Shadow of the Vampire, this movie?
No.
I believe that I saw this. Now, I don't know, is this the Willem Dafoe movie? If it is the one I'm thinking of, it's a pretty cool movie. You can see here that, it's Malkovich.
Okay.
Yeah, this is it is Willem Dafoe. There it is. So Willem Dafoe and John Malkovich in this movie, Shadow of the Vampire. So apparently what they were doing over on Freaky Fandoms this week was talking to the creative genius, the director behind Shadow of the Vampire. And so he says that, Andrew sent me an email and said that the topics ranged far and wide, and it was a very interesting conversation to say the least. And so it's really cool that they're getting onto their podcast well-known names and directors. They also sent over a couple of images that are related to their recent travels out and about in the world of horror. So they are avid fans of all things horror. And so they recently shared with us pictures from their podcasts. This is Deborah. This is Pee Wee Herman with Deborah.
Yeah, so it is.
I wonder what Pee Wee Herman is up to these days, but you could go tune in.
Standing behind people, apparently.
Yeah. This was when they went to the recent con that we discussed. What was that called? It was like a horror convention, something like that. It wasn't Comic-Con. It was a different one. But they are always out and about meeting with all of these people from the industry. And so if you go and you check out Freaky Fandoms, you can have a listen to all of this. They are our biggest sponsor, our longest running sponsor. And so when you support them, you are supporting us.
So please head on over. The link, I believe, is probably below this video. So give them a listen.
I think you're supposed to say the link is in the description below. This is when I listen to podcasts and YouTubes, that seems to be the standard form of that. The link, you give it a try.
The link is in the description below.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well done, Martin.
Let's not conform. Let's mix it up a bit.
No.
Let's use lots of superfluous words.
No.
I know you like that.
Let's not do that. So.
Monster Palooza.
There you go.
Was that it?
Monster Palooza. That's it.
Okay.
We're going to move on to another project that is going on over on Patreon. This is the creation of our next very large, what do we call that? A Patreon reward?
It's a goal, isn't it? They call them.
I think it's a goal. It is a new plush. Where's our rabbit plush? There's one back there.
Oh, there's one back there. Shall I grab it?
Yes, please grab the plush. So as many of you know, we did previously create a plush doll. This was the rabbit plush. That's too far away, Martin. And the rabbit plush was a big hit. You got that first on Patreon, and then we also made it for sale over on Mysterious. Well, these days we are working on a new and improved plush design, and this one is the Cheshire Kitten.
It's gone through quite a few designs, this one, hasn't it?
It has, and this is one of the things that I really love about what we're doing these days. The design of Alice Asylum and a lot of this merchandise and the fun stuff that we're doing with everyone over on Patreon. There's this iterative crowd design process where we are sharing all of the details of how things get designed, how they get manufactured. Even now, you know a bit about how we have to ship stuff and sort stuff. And so involving you, the audience, with all of this has been one of the things that I've really taken a lot of pleasure from.
It's a great process.
Right.
Just seeing what other people say, you know, obviously they might even have some ideas that just didn't occur to us. So crowd designing stuff, it's certainly very interesting.
Yes. Well, so this is the design that we've drawn up. Now, there were a couple of, this was version 4, as you can see here. That means there was a version 1, 2, and 3, which were modified and changed up based on your feedback. And then there's also another piece of this set, and that is this. So this is the design on what will be a bag. Now, we've been describing this as a nylon bag, and actually we have some samples on the way for what this is going to be, how it's going to work, but it's essentially in the form of something that you could reuse multiple times to go shopping. And right, so this is all about save the environment and don't waste plastic bags. So our idea here is to make this very sturdy, very usable, and very convenient. So it's going to actually have a pocket on the inside where it can fold up into itself.
Okay.
And that makes it so you can carry it around easily. And it has a front and a back.
Wow.
What was your thinking on this logo stuff? Did you see my comments about that?
Yeah, I even think there's some of those on my old sheet here.
Why don't we talk about some of those? But first, let's. We've got a super chat from our old friend Ray Rutherford.
We have. Thank you for that, Ray. Haven't been able to tip in a while, so here's 2,000 cents.
Wow, thank you, Ray.
Thank
2,000 cents.
That can go lunch perhaps today.
I thought you were going to drink all that as alcohol, and I'm just going to watch.
No, I was going to drink Truth Decays.
I see.
This one can be lunch.
All right, cool. Well, thank you for that, Ray. Very much appreciated.
Thank you, Ray.
Yes. So now we can scroll down, and no more super chats there. We can go back. So what was the comment that you had on...
Well, I saw some people saying no to the branding on the paw. That seemed to be quite a popular comment.
But that's what I said.
Well, people were reiterating it.
I'm not a fan. And what I said in the comments on Patreon was that, in general, I don't like big splashy branding on my stuff, whether it be a t-shirt or a pair of jeans or anything really. I like to have stuff that is very subtle in terms of branding, and I like to have designs on the things that I wear and the things that I carry to be simple, maybe a little, you know, bold. I mean, that's why I like the chaos t-shirts that we make, stuff like that. But when it comes to a bag like this, I feel like this is too busy. There's there's not just one, but there's 3 elements of branding here. There's the logo, the Alice Asylum logo. There's the AMG American McGee official merchandise logo. And then there's the mysterious logo. What I posted up on Patreon as a sort of joking response to this was, have you seen this in China before?
All right. Adidas and Nike
Yes.
together.
I've actually seen this where it's 3 brands on one product. I think what I saw once was Adidas plus Nike plus there's a brand that's with a K, I can't remember, but I saw a pair of sneakers that had 3 brands on one sneaker.
That's just good value for money.
I suppose. I'm not really sure if that's a value for money. I guess it depends on how you look at it, but
Steffi Lynn, Super Chats. Please consider glowing eyes and teeth on the Cheshire Plush.
yeah, we've seen this comment multiple times to have things glow.
Glow how? Are we talking like glow in the dark
paint.
material?
It would have to be the glowy paint. I'm not a big fan of that stuff. I feel like it sort of cheapens things.
Okay.
I mean, can you think of a single name a high quality shirt or bag that has glow in the dark paint on it? I understand that, watches, for instance, have glowing dials. I understand that I even own some material, some jackets and stuff that have strips of reflective material on them.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of stuff that sort of charges up in the sun and then glows, I've always felt it's a bit gimmicky because it doesn't last very long.
I've not really had anything glow in the dark since I was a kid.
This is my point. I feel
Can't
like
think of anything.
I feel like the only audience out there for things which would be labeled as glow in the dark, that audience would be primarily children.
Right.
Now, I could imagine that we might do this up with a bit of reflective material so that when this bag, some element, say the teeth for instance, when light hits the teeth, it reflects more than the surrounding material, and so you get something where, and the thing I like about a bag or a design like that is that glow in the dark doesn't really catch a person's eye at a distance. This is why, for instance, if you get running shoes or a running jacket or motorcycle equipment, say a helmet or a jacket, none of that stuff is equipped with quote-unquote glow in the dark, because glow in the dark puts off such little light that it would be effectively useless as a safety thing. But reflective material can bounce back a significant portion of the light that's shined on it, and therefore it can be super bright in relation to the environment around it. And I could imagine that these teeth with reflective material sewn into them or painted onto them or something, that could be pretty cool.
It would be pretty good.
What do you guys think in the chat?
At night, walking down the street, suddenly there's like a big grin smiling at you.
Yeah, well,
You'd see that.
So Steffi Lynn, thank you for that super chat and that suggestion, but let us think about how, I don't know, how we really feel about glow in the dark. Are we saying really glow in the dark, like the sort of greenish glow in the dark paint that we had on all of our stuff as children? Or perhaps now that we're all adults, we might go for something a little more functional, like, say, reflective stuff.
Okay. I think we missed one.
Let's scroll up. You've been thinking that a lot these days.
Yeah.
I think
double checking.
I think you've got some sort of traumatic stress as related to missing super chats.
Missed one-itis.
I think you must be having nightmares about this the night before you come over. Oh no, we're gonna.
I hope I don't miss a super chat. Where is it? Where's In and Out's super chat gone?
I'm checking out the response to glowing versus reflective.
All right. Minky polyester. In and Out super chats.
He loves these questions. Welcome back, In and Out.
In and Out's just like
I have nightmares at night about In and Out's questions.
that you'll never sleep again because you're constantly answering these questions.
No.
Where was American when he found out Kurt Cobain had died? How did he take the news?
Well, Kurt Cobain died on April 5th, 1994. I would have been working at id Software at that time on Doom, because I started work at id in 93 or 94. I don't believe that at that time I was a fan. So I was not a big fan of Nirvana when they were sort of on the stage, on scene. And at the moment where Kurt Cobain died, that was not my kind of music. Was that classified at that time as, did we call it grunge at that time?
I think we might have.
I think we might have as well.
Seattle grunge was just becoming a thing.
Yeah, so I wasn't into that kind of music. I was very much into the electronic scene. I was into Nine Inch Nails and Marilyn Manson and Rob Zombie and that kind of stuff. And I don't know, somehow Kurt Cobain didn't really fit in the box for me. It wasn't until much later that I stumbled upon the MTV live recordings. There's a one album. Now that album, it got to a point where I would sit down and I would listen to that from start to finish for the entire day. For the entire day, I would listen to the MTV sessions or whatever it was called of Kurt Cobain. So then I felt sad because, hey, I really, really like this. And then he's dead. So there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm trying to think. Maybe I was in my kitchen at home. That's kind of where I heard most stuff. You know, I'd get up in the morning to go to work. I'd put the radio on, and then there'd be the news of the night. So I was probably in the kitchen, listening to the news before heading to work. So yeah, nothing so exciting. Just making myself a bowl of cereal, probably.
I see. Tristan, I'm just going to call this out because there's a broken heart, I suppose. But what is the current state of this game being released? Hey, Tristan, there is actually a video that we uploaded from last week's live stream. It's on my YouTube channel, and it is entitled, How Long Is This Going to Take? And it currently has like 20,000 views.
It's up there.
It's up there. Go watch that. It explains the entire process and what we're doing in full. Yeah, you know, we're still working on it, trying to get licenses in place and raise money. We are moving things forward. I wish I could say more, but yeah, it is moving forward. Go watch that video. It'll give you an explanation as to what is going on.
Speaking of watching that video, are we going to do that little skit that we're going to cut out? You said to do with the Amazon presentation. Were we going to talk about that for a bit so we could cut it out of the video?
Yeah, we could, but I hadn't really formed my thinking on how that was going to go down.
Maybe later.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that another day. I mean, this is the presentation we've talked about.
I mean, we could do it after the stream and just record it.
Yeah, that's never any fun. I like it when there's an audience.
Okay.
I like them to watch us.
You're an exhibitionist.
It's something like that. Yeah, I mean, you know, to Tristan and anybody else who's out there watching, there is an effort underway, obviously, to get a new game made, but that does require multiple pieces to fall into place, the first of which is a license with EA. And all I can say about that right now is I've signed multiple NDAs with them that say that I won't talk about the process of how that's being done. The only other thing I can say is that the conversations with them within that process do continue, and they continue to this very day. And so I'm not sure what else I can say about that aspect of it. This, though, the presentation, which contains our outline of the studio we want to build and the model for the studio and the projects we're going to work on and the people who are going to work there, this is, I think, the culmination of a lot of the effort that's been going towards the formation of everything around the new project, the new studio, the new team. And so, of course, this type of presentation is the thing we're putting together and putting in front of companies like Amazon or Nintendo or Microsoft. By the way, to be clear, none of those people have signed on to be the publisher or financier. And in fact, my guess is at the end of the day, whoever finances the production of this new game will not be, I'd say there's like a 90% chance it will not be one of these big, well-established companies. It's going to be a sort of dark horse. It's going to be some group or some individual out there who's sitting on top of a pile of money and who says, hey, I'm a big fan of Alice and I like what you've outlined here and I want to make this happen. So we are talking to in a very wide range from, super rich individuals to odd collectors of investment funds that are sort of maybe no one's ever heard of, but their focus is on games and media. And then, of course, we are talking to big, well-known companies like Amazon and Microsoft. So anyway, it's a time-consuming but also very slow-moving process.
It is. It's heartbreakingly slow. But...
I don't feel heartbroken about it. I'm having a lot of fun with what we're doing in terms of outlining the design and working with our fans and doing all this stuff on Patreon. I think that this is fantastic. As long as everyone else who's involved in it is having fun and thinks it's fantastic, then great. And like I said in that video where I was explaining how long this is going to take, if you are in a big hurry, then maybe, chill out, check back in every couple of months. Because it's certainly not going to be something that you're not going to miss it, right? Even once we get a deal done, it's still going to be 2+ years before a game gets made. So even if you were to check out right now for, say, the next 6 months or 12 months, the worst thing that would happen is that you would come back 6 months from now or 12 months from now, and we would be celebrating the fact that we had secured our funding and we'd be starting work on development. That'd be about it. Of course, then you would also miss out on all the prizes and crap that we're giving away in the meantime.
Yeah,
so
please don't disappear for 6 or 12 months.
Well, you can, though. I mean, it's not like they're not prisoners, are they? Are you holding a gun to their head, Martin?
No.
Mm-hmm. You don't even have a gun because you're a Brit. You're not allowed to. You can't even have knives anymore.
Got pointy sticks.
Not even allowed that.
Does that count? Sean Carey, thank you for the super chat. Is American going to be designing any of the levels for Asylum himself, or will his role be more wide-ranging than that?
No, I will not be designing levels for Asylum. I didn't design levels for Madness Returns. I did do some level design work on the first Alice, but these days, no way. There's way too much other stuff I've got to take care of on a sort of high level. There would be no way that I could sit down and dedicate the sort of time necessary for the creation of a level in a game these days. But thank you for the super chat, Sean Carey.
Thank you. Lucas Severin is back again. Thank you for the super chat. Idea. Patrons and the community members to record snippets of them speaking either random lines or quotes from the Alice books to be whispers in the Asylum and to be the voices of the insane children. Might not work being a prequel and that, as if there were quotes from the future. I don't know.
I mean, I get the point that he's making is that we could involve the fans by having them record lines, and that idea by itself is fine. I like that kind of idea. It's kind of in line with what we're doing with a chaos coin, for instance, where you can have a chaos coin and you can put a line of dialogue or a note or whatever on there within reason. Please don't put nonsense on your chaos coins. I'm looking at you. Who was it that was saying embrace the chaos? Priscilla. I'm looking at you, Priscilla. Don't put chaos on your chaos coin. So I think, recording our insane children or getting lines of text from them and incorporating those into the game is something we definitely want to do. It's just a question of figuring out the narrative wrapper for that. So yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Are we caught up?
We are completely caught up.
Yeah.
Philippe, where were American and Martin when Joan d'Arc was burned? I don't think we existed yet. Yes.
Or did we?
That's good. Are we timeless? Are we time vampires? Like we've been alive for decades and we just...
There's a lot of vampire stuff going on today. With that Freaky Fandoms thing, and actually last night before bed, I started watching Interview with the Vampire.
Okay.
Not seen it in ages.
That's a really good book series.
Thought I'd put it on.
Have you read those books?
No.
I read them all. I thought they They were the bee's knees. Is that a thing you like to say, bee's knees?
Not personally.
All right. Well, hey, we have a bunch of comments and questions from our patrons, but before we get to those, let us do our last contest giving away out of the wood stuff.
Are we done with art?
Almost.
Okay.
I'm trying to wrap up that stuff, and then we're gonna. I mean, what else? There's all kinds of stuff in this folder, but a lot of this I think we've seen before.
Seen the plush.
That's a rabbit plush. You can still get on Mysterious. We're making a cat now.
And you can get the bag separately.
You can buy the bag
if you
separately.
want.
This I was going to bring up and just talk about the character designs that Omri's been doing. This is, of course, the Shadow Alice representation. And I think the reason I put this in the art folder was just to talk about the amount of organization that's going to go into our efforts going forward. Again, spearheaded by Omri. He's even put together a Trello board.
He has.
Have you seen it? It's pretty nifty.
Yeah.
Was there anything in there we couldn't show off to the fans?
I wouldn't like to say yes or no.
I don't think there was anything horrible in there. There was nothing illegal. There was nothing satanic. There was nothing... I don't seem to recall him...
Well, let's have a quick shufty then.
What's a shufty?
You not heard? Have a quick shufty?
Is that like getting jiggy with it?
It's just have a little look at something.
Has anybody else ever heard of a shufty before?
Oh, I'm sure they have.
Oh wow! I didn't realize there was like this these Trello boards in here for Alice. There's all kinds of stuff in Trello. You know, we used to use Trello a lot.
I remember Regina using it a little bit at Spicy.
Yeah. Alice Asylum pre-mysterious global resource. No, this is the wrong
the
thing.
one you were floating over.
Really? Oh my god. This.
No, down.
That.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so this is interesting because this is actually showing off. I hope this doesn't show off anything we shouldn't show off. I think this is okay. Actually, it might be interesting to have our insane children and our fans see this because this is Omri organizing all of the work that's going to be done on the design stuff. So you can see the to-do lists and the stuff that's being done right now. So there you go. We're creating a Cheshire plush. We're doing the train stations. And then by individual, there are lists in here. And this is kind of mixing up, stuff that we're doing at Mysterious and then stuff that needs to be done. So there's your cosplay book.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we are working through this list now. And I think this is a good way to keep everything together and keep us on track. But back to the reason why I brought this up is that I was going to illustrate all of that point by showing off the work that Omri had done on some of these characters and talk about how we were going to organize the character work and making sure that we have this design Bible get done and there be more focus on getting the design Bible done. So
right.
There you go.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Are we going to spam?
Yes, ask them a question. I've done the last two.
Who's your favorite vampire in popular culture?
Okay, that's a question. And the person who wins this is going to get their choice of Out of the Woods, either the illustrated book. Ooh, look at that. Or the art prints. Oh no, they don't choose an art print. Sorry, I take that back.
Take it back quickly.
But you do get a copy of the illustrated book. So
or the coloring book, or the game. You choose.
Exactly. So spam up the chat with...
Like I said, who's your favorite vampire from popular stuff?
Who's yours?
I
know mine.
Oh, who's yours?
The Count from Sesame Street.
Okay.
A 1, a 2, a 3.
Maybe Coach Ferratu from Rick and Morty. It's like, seriously, his name was Coach Ferratu.
Alrighty. Well, while we're waiting for you guys to spam up the chats with your favorite...
Bram Stoker.
Your favorite. I'm going to read another selection of wisdom from Out of the Woods, the illustrated book. So this would be from The Tale of the Three Little Pigs.
Count Chocula.
Lesson 6. Don't let anger get the better of you. The desire for revenge can blind us to the dangers created by our actions. It's almost always best to walk away from a person or a situation which has driven us to rage. Give yourself time to calm down and reflect on your next move. Depending on the severity of the situation, this process can be very slow, days or weeks. Only once you're able to view the situation without anger should you make your decision as to your next move. Rushing to revenge can end you up down a chimney and into boiling water.
All right. I didn't listen to most of that. I was just reading people's favorite vampires.
Well, thanks, Martin. I'm so glad I read that.
You didn't read it for me, though, did you?
Well, I don't know. You are a very vengeful... This is something I think our audience doesn't realize, is Martin is a very vengeful person.
Really? How did I get that reputation? What did I do that was vengeful recently?
Just kidding. Don't hurt me.
We had a lot of Vampire Bill and Alucard and Lestat.
Norm the Sucker Guy.
Blade.
What the hell is Norm the Sucker Guy?
No. Blood Rain.
Lestat. Coach. Alrighty. How are we doing this? Are we going to do the same thing? I'm going to point here.
The wiggle doesn't work because of the delay. So we're just going to have to do the pen point.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to start
so
scrolling
I know that
around.
I'm in the right place.
Yes, we're scrolling around. Okay, 3, 2, 1, point.
Hang
And Rosie?
I'd say that was Rosie.
Okay, Martin's pointing at Rosie. You know, this is a really crap way to... All right, well, congratulations to Rosie. Via our crap prize winner selection process, you have won. So please
Now you can point at it. Can you get there?
Please send a email to mysterious@americanmcgee.com. Include your name, your address, your phone number, and your selection of Out of the Woods things, whether it is the illustrated book, the card game, or the coloring book. And we will get you a prize in the mail pronto.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you for playing, and sorry for our terrible method.
I like it.
I don't know. I think it's...
I mean, like's a strong word. It's okay.
All right.
In a pinch.
It's okay. All right, let's get to some of these comments and questions from our patrons.
All right.
And stick around, if you're there in the chat, because up next...
The next and lastest prize
is
for
going to
today
be a very significant prize. That is these alchemy
look at it.
keys.
It's over $100.
Woo! They're very nice. Is that rabbit wearing one? Oh, yeah, the rabbit's even wearing one. Look at that.
And you did say rabbit not included, didn't you?
I don't know if it says that here. Would you really think that rabbit... Do I
you
need to
know
say
what
that
kind of questions we get.
Do I need to say yin is not included as well?
Probably.
Yeah, well. All right. Anyway, this is going to be the final prize of today's stream, so stick around for the top of the hour.
Ray Weatherford super chats. Just FYI, I got my permissions removed from the Discord channel again. I'm wondering if this has got something to do with
adjusting your pledge.
Not adjusting the pledge, but also a lot of people, when I'm checking out the data on Patreon, get their first charge declined.
Mm-hmm.
And then Patreon has to try again later. So I'm wondering if it's got something to do with that. I wonder if Ray is one of those initial decliners who then gets charged at a later date.
But the correct way to go about lodging this issue would be to Patreon support itself, I believe.
Probably. I
because
don't know.
We don't have any control over those mechanisms.
I mean, we could send Ray a rejoin link. We can manually do that, but we can't solve the underlying issue.
But I would suggest that you do write to Patreon and say, this has become an issue for me. So they may be able to fix the underlying issue. Meanwhile, send a private message over on Patreon, and then Martin can try to help you.
Try.
But he might also seek revenge.
Maybe.
Be careful. Okay, now, are we going to get to...
Stefan Christofferson sends 20 more North Korean credits. Can I trade my soul for those keys?
I would suggest you hold out for something of greater value, Stefan. And also, if fairy tales have taught us anything, it's that would be a devil's bargain. Like, you would get the necklaces, but then you wouldn't have a neck. That's usually how that goes.
That would work, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Restless 8 Goddess. That's a new one. Doesn't sound familiar. So
Welcome, Restless 8 Goddess.
Thank you for the super chat. I'm excited for the Cheshire Plush for the oddest reason. My neuro disorder made me hallucinate the cat in my room. Looking forwards to a real one.
Oh, there you go.
A hallucinated cat.
Yeah, well, I hope that your neuro disorder doesn't cause any other kinds of discomfort, but yeah, hallucinating the Cheshire kitten must have been interesting. We will hopefully soon have the production model, a sample. If we're lucky, it may even be here next week.
If we're lucky, it might be as terrible as the rabbit
but
productions we had.
We have sent those design specs off to the factory, and it's the same factory who produced this rabbit, and they seem to be pretty good. They seem to know what they're doing. So we do hope to have a Cheshire kitten production sample here with us next week, and
look forwards to that.
We'll share that with all of you, and then we can do some comments and some feedback. Speaking of, what kind of comments and feedback do you have over there?
Well, what do we have? These ones came through on the post about the tags.
Okay.
The latest tag post.
Yes.
And again, a lot of them were repeated, so I'm not going to go through them all. But a lot of positivity.
Okay.
Hannah Michelle, this is such a cool idea. Now we can wear our insane loud and proud.
Now we have had a couple of questions about the material these are made from. It's supposed to be stainless steel, but it being that these are made in China, it's oftentimes not possible for us to know just what quality of stainless steel and whether or not it's got a high percentage of nickel mixed into it. A lot of people, myself included, are allergic to nickel. And what I would suggest for those of you who are is fret not. There is a simple solution. I use this myself from time to time. That is to paint the item with a clear, like an enamel. So say like a clear nail polish. That will then put a coat on the metal, which doesn't allow it to come into contact with your skin. And if the necklace is bothering you, then replace that with a string necklace. Someone else wrote in the other day and said that the necklace supplied with the Chaos necklaces was too small to go around his neck. And I tried the necklace on my neck just to kind of see. And there was still quite a bit of space between my neck and the necklace. So I thought, is this Thanos? Is Thanos ordering...
Maybe it's the guy from the Son I Am Disappoint meme.
Maybe.
He had a thick neck, didn't he?
He did. But so, yeah, we can't make promises that it will not affect your allergies, because even though it's supposed to be stainless steel, we don't have a guarantee of just how allergy free it might be. But yeah, there is that trick of painting it with a clear enamel. I do that. My mom does that because we're all allergic to nickel. So there you go.
Yeah. Mr. Oxlong, did we miss one of his super chats?
No.
I think we might have this time.
I don't think so.
I think we might have, but it was a while ago.
This is what your nightmare is, isn't it?
It is. It happened. Sorry, Mike. Let us know if that happened.
Welcome back, Mike.
Is Asylum an indie game or AAA game?
Well, it's kind of both. It's going to be a AAA indie game.
Yes, it's probably... If you're thinking AAA, such as the money spent on like God of War or Red Dead Redemption 2 or something, tone it back a little.
Well, we're looking at a budget that is anywhere from $20 to $30 million US. And, I think once you get up to around the $50 million mark, you're sort of getting into the budgets of some of the larger, what you'd say AAA developers or studios. I think that what we're doing, if we get let's say we get $25 million, where we're going to spend it, it will be the equivalent of $50 million, because we're not going to spend it on developers in places where the costs are way up here. We're spending in a place where the costs are down here. So in terms of our goal for content, for quality, for the depth of gameplay, these types of things, we're definitely aiming at AAA. There's no question about that. That's the kind of game we want to make. All right, Mike.
Yeah.
Hey, guys from Montreal, Ubisoft. Hey, JD. Welcome, a fellow game developer.
I was at Found 158 the other night, and there's a bunch of guys walking around in Supercell hoodies.
Ooh.
Thought the guys from Supercell were chilling out there.
There you go.
Is there still a Supercell in Shanghai?
Yeah.
Probably those guys.
Those are
In
rich
and
guys.
out. In and out with the big super chat. Thank you for that. Does Martin like the fact that Resident Evil 2 remake is an over-the-shoulder angle, or does he prefer the fixed angle of the original? Also, how will it be in Asylum, fixed or over-the-shoulder? I loved the Resident Evil 2 remake. I played the crap out of it. I don't think I platinumed it in terms of trophies, but I completed it multiple times to do all the stories. And yeah, over-the-shoulder is excellent for that particular genre. Loved it to bits.
There you go.
Excellent stuff. Well done, Capcom.
Well, and well done In and Out for asking a question that I don't have to deal with.
But the second part of that was about Alice. So I guess that it wouldn't be fixed angle at all. That would be crazy.
Oh, how will it be in Asylum? No, I think our camera, it's third person.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be, I don't think you really call that over the shoulder because it's not a shooter in that sense. It's going to be third person. Sort of floaty. I mean, I remember we were describing that as a sort of rubber band cam, right? So because she'll turn, the camera's kind of working to keep up with her. So it feels more loosely connected. And that's because more than likely we'll have a lock-on mechanic, so you won't be aiming at enemies directly over her shoulder or through a reticle for those third-person weapons. And of course, we'll probably have some first-person weapons. We've talked about having the squishing your head thing.
Your head.
So in those, of course, we'll switch to a weapon first-person view. All of your heads are squished now, by the way. Sorry about that. So yeah, I think we're going to go for what we've had in the past. Now, of course, in American McGee's Alice, it was locked to a position behind her because it was still fairly shootery. I think that for Madness Returns, obviously we switched to a lock-on mechanic, and I'm pretty sure we're going to maintain a bit of that lock-on mechanic feeling in the new game.
Okay.
There you go.
Restless 8 Goddess is back. Thank you. Stable for years, but before that, playing the first Alice kept me steady on bad days. When the real world made no sense, Wonderland did.
Wow. Well, glad to hear that. Restless 8 Goddess, we do hear that quite often of people who are struggling, whether it be physically or mentally, and have said that oftentimes the Alice games helped them. So, appreciate that. Glad to hear it.
Yeah. Truth Decay, it's actually a good question. Thank you for the super chat. Does the 20 to 30 million budget for Asylum theoretically include marketing?
So this is a really good question, and my response to this would be it can, and that's because we're going to do non-traditional marketing. In fact, you're looking at it right now. I believe that the kind of money that was spent on the last Alice game,
like 10 million?
And I'm trying to figure out how to say this without throwing anyone under a bus. I'll say that I think it wasn't done effectively, as effectively as it could have been, and I don't think it was as efficient in terms of money spent and results gained. So I think that may have been because we were still at the cusp of the transition away from traditional marketing to what the type of marketing we're seeing these days, which is primarily online. Like, you have to remember, at the time where Madness Returns was launched, we still had a concept that print magazines mattered.
I was going to say, was there like adverts in magazines?
Yeah, there was still this idea that print advertising or print game magazines maybe made a difference. And of course, we now know that wasn't the case, and that those publications were in fact going out of business. I mean, they didn't have an audience. They just, their audience was publishers, and that was it. So I think that within the money that we're discussing here, let's say, again, I said 25 million. So let's say we got 25 million. I'd say that 3 to 5 million of that would go to marketing, and then 20 million would go to development. Depends on the conversation we're having and who we're having the conversation with, because we may go and get someone to say, hey, we're going to give you $20 million for development, or you may blanket say $20 million for this game, and then they would say, plus there's going to be this money going to marketing. For me, the bottom line is somewhere around $20 million for development. So then we would have to discuss marketing above and beyond that. But I have a lot of ideas on how we effectively market the game for less money. And it's some of the stuff that Martin and I have been doing in terms of learning about merchandise creation and marketing merchandise and leveraging the social platforms more effectively to get a bigger bang out of the money that's spent on marketing.
There you go. Good answer. Thorough answer.
There you go.
Carlos Torres super chats saying, for people allergic to nickel, there's plastic covers for military dog tags that could be an option.
There you go.
Easy to find, I guess.
This is true.
eBay, Taobao, wherever you are in the world.
Yes. Well, thank you for the super chat and the suggestion, Carlos. It seems that the chat has died for some reason.
Well, we've still got green over on OBS, so we're still going.
It's very strange. Don't know why. So let's get back to questions and suggestions, and then we're going to head into the final prize for today.
For the tags, Christina Stevens says, I don't hate it, but medical bracelets would have been better.
I saw that comment, and...
The plastic ones?
No. I mean, they make metal...
Oh, I think I know the thing.
Yeah, so... It's not, they're not that unusual. I mean, I've seen them they look like this. Oftentimes they'll have written on them your particular dysfunction or condition. And so, yeah, there's all kinds of variations of this. I kind of feel like these are a bit too modern.
Right.
I already feel like the concept of these dog tags that we're doing, you might suggest are not really of the period, right? I don't know that even this would have fit into the time and place that where this game is taking place. But I feel like this might be more similar to something you would have seen back then as opposed to these bracelets.
Yeah.
I mean, is that wrong? Is there such thing as a Victorian medical bracelet?
Apparently not.
So when we type in Victorian medical bracelets, no, we're not getting anything that looks...
Kind of styled as ye olde, but I don't think they are.
So then the question is, was there such thing as Victorian dog tags? It looks like people have put Victorian designs on dog tags. And here is a tag for a dog from the Victorian era.
So technically there are Victorian dog tags.
There are technically Victorian dog tags. So you see it here.
Yeah. Oh.
So we're a little more close to reality, I think, with, like, here you go. Here's a dog tag from Victorian era. The dog's name was perhaps Wheeler from number 9. How do you say that word?
How do you say that word?
I'm not going to do it. I want to hear a Brit say it.
Gloucester.
Gloucester. Gloucester, governor.
Were you going to say Gloucester or something?
Gloucester. I would have said Gloucester or something funny like that. And so, yeah, Gloucester is what you say.
Yep.
Well, anyway, so I think that the dog tags are probably more of the era, perhaps. Yeah. All right.
Sean Carey, that's another good question. Will you guys be doing these live streams once the game enters production?
For sure. I mean, that's part of the whole thing, is that this is the pre-production design phase, and we're out there trying to raise money and make the whole thing happen. I can't wait until the day that we say, hey, we've done it, we've secured the funding, and now we're moving into production, and then we get to bring you along throughout the development of the game. Again, that's something that I don't know has ever really been done from start to finish, and this goes back to the question about marketing. What better way to ramp people up into the thing that we're doing than to be sharing the production as it goes along?
Yeah, I mean, there are people out there. They do like similar things. You know, the sort of the marketing person is kind of like just as famous as the game or the games that they put out, and they are like the go-to person when somebody has a question. It's
Right.
like, was that like Major Nelson?
Right.
Like, people know about that. So I'm sure we'll still do these streams, but there'll probably be more as well, won't there? There'll be sort of like, you know, releasing snippets of like gameplay here and then when it starts getting made. And
Is that Kayla that gave that comment?
no.
Oh, it was someone else. All right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
the streams will exist, but you know, they may evolve. There
Yeah.
may be extra streams and stuff.
Yes, exactly.
We'll still be here for you guys. We're not going to ignore you.
No. Well, this is
Even
part
when
of
we're
the,
sat on golden thrones
this
of
is-
money.
This is part of the plan, is to constantly update the community and involve the community and make the community a part of all of this. So I don't think that we have any plans to slow this down or to stop this once we begin actual development.
Yeah. People saying lag, but no lag.
So, have you got any more questions or suggestions? We've got about 6 minutes
Yeah, we
until
can-
the end of today's stream, and
Can go over. Savannah, I just joined a few days ago and haven't had any charges yet. When I go to bump up to $15, it says that it's charging for the beginning of June. Does that still count for this?
yeah, do you want to answer that
Yeah.
question?
It's the weirdness of Patreon, and it's the terminology. We discussed this morning. So you are a May patron, but you get charged for May at the beginning of June. We understand it's a little confusing. So yes, in simple terms, if you are charged at the beginning of June, $15 and above, you will get the tag. It's that simple. So join now, pledge now, you will be charged at the beginning of June. Done. So, yeah. There you go, Savannah.
I kind of want to ask a question. You have, let's say, a cell phone. You use the cell phone in the month of January. You talk on the
Right.
phone, you download some games. When do you receive the bill for that month of January? When do you pay that?
I believe that it's sort of pre-charged, isn't it?
Okay. You have a home and you're using water in your home, and you get a bill for the water you used in the month of January. When do you receive that bill?
It will be after January.
Correct. I feel like there's a lot of things in the world that follow this model, and at least from my experience with, say, phones, data that I'm using, I use the data in, I'm assuming I'm not on an unlimited plan, whatever, but just consider in the traditional model, I use the data in January, I pay the bill in February.
Right.
I use the electricity in January, I pay the bill in February. I don't understand, I don't really understand the difficulty with this. You do the thing in this month, you pay the bill in the next. Anyway.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm seeing a lot of complaints about lag and about other issues. From our end, everything looks perfectly fine.
YouTube says good. OBS is in the green.
No problems.
We don't know what's going on.
But people are saying that there's an echo. Why don't we just give away the last prize and call it a day?
People will leave.
But
We have questions and stuff.
We'll finish them up.
All right, quickly. Some person here, Asylum patient, talking about if they can get the exact number that they want. We discussed that.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
afraid
not
people
going to
can't
do that. These numbers, as you see them here, will be generated. Each tag will have its own number. So, going from obviously 0001 all the way to how many ever people qualify for this, maybe 3999. But you're going to get the numbers sent to you randomly.
Yeah.
We don't want to mess with that.
I'm going to the Looking Glass Railway post on Patreon. Josh simply just says they're down for more swag. I think lots of people are down for swag.
Well, I'm glad to hear it.
People love swag and merch.
There is swag coming along on the way.
Wendy J asks, who is Stick Boy and where did the name Font Lord come from? Loving all the art, the tags would be cool.
We've described Stick Boy and Font Lord before. Where did Stick Boy come from? Stick Boy came from the fact that when I was a wee lad, I was a high school dropout and I went to work on cars. And in the shop where I worked, there had previously been a young guy working there who was referred to as Dog-Faced Stick Boy. And that's because he was skinny, like I am, but he also was apparently ugly. And so he left. I wonder why. and when he left, I was the person who came to replace him. I was still skinny, but apparently not dog-faced, and so I was just referred to as Stick Boy. Where did Font Lord come from?
It's one of those things. I mean, something happens one time, and then it sticks. So it was the initial setting up of the wiki, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. And on the main page, put quite a lot of fonts on there, like sort of like spidery, gothic-y type fonts, and yeah. And then Font Lord was mentioned once.
There you go.
And it stuck.
All right.
There's worse nicknames.
Let's continue on. Let's finish these up before the lag monster comes and kills us.
Yeah. Taylor Gowan, glad to see new work from Sunny. I like the way the station is looking, but it needs more flair to be more whimsical.
Yeah, we've said this.
We did.
So there is a variation. There's more work coming on this station, and yeah, let's see what he sends along, and then also Omri is working on this as well.
Yep, we've kind of already talked about a bunch more of these questions. So again, I'm going to quickly move on, try and wrap this stuff up. This was from the Plush Stuff V4 post. Ava Marie, definitely liked his eyes better in this one. Tattoos on the back of his head look good, and the tail is a lot better.
Yes.
It is.
Well, this should be better because this is based on all the feedback that came from you and people over on Patreon. So I'm very interested to see how the factory pulls all this together.
Yes.
If it turns out anything like this or turns into something completely bizarre, it's going to be very interesting to see.
Steffi Lynn says it's looking great so far, but hopes the fluffy isn't too fluffy. Can't wait to see the first prototype.
So in reference to...
I guess just the fur. Just hopes it's not... No. Says, I definitely like the tail, but hope the fluffy isn't too fluffy.
I think the fluffy reference might be this little bit at the end here. This little broomy bit. Don't know. We'll see.
We will see. And again, one here from Anna Lepper. Looking forward to the first Plush version from the factory. But with the bag, keep the paw logo plain. Yes.
Yeah,
that's
I
what
think
most people are saying.
We all agree on this this paw logo. Let's not put all this in there. So we should be seeing an updated version of this from Alex, where this has been removed, where this has been removed. I'm guessing maybe this mysterious logo might stay, but ultimately I want the mysterious logo to simply be on a tag inside the bag here.
Right.
So you wouldn't see that unless you were looking in the bag. I like this stuff to be kept subtle. Again, the one here on the front, the mysterious logo, I think could be done away with. I like the quote here, but I just don't want the branding on the outside. It's not a race car, you know?
It's not.
Have you done up all the feedback there?
Yeah.
Good.
Quickly rattled through them.
Well, let's get the super chats out of the way, and then we're going to do the final prize for today.
Rider Studios, thank you for the super chat. I have been loving this process, and I'm glad that it will continue once the project has been greenlit. It has really helped put the industry into perspective as I've been going through school. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm hearing this comment quite often these days, that there are people out there who have aspirations to get into the games industry. They are helped by seeing and having access to, like, we've released some design doc stuff, and of course they're able to go over to the wiki and to have a look at sort of how we're pulling together the various elements of the design for Asylum And I think another thing that's interesting is for people just to see how slow the process is. I mean, it's not like, I actually had someone write the other day and say they felt frustrated. They had presented a design to some company, and it was rejected. And I wanted to really make the point that, like, we deal with rejection all the time. Think about, like, Pirate Jam, for instance. We will spend a year pitching Pirate Jam with all the videos, with all the previous experience, with all the cool, like, people who come to that. Everything about Pirate Jam, to me, screams, hey, this looks like a real thing. Like, I want to get behind this. And we get rejections constantly. Yeah, no. Our period for investing in stuff is over. You missed our sponsorship window. This doesn't really fit. Or you get people saying, oh, we might come on board to help out with this, but can you increase the number of people attending to several thousand? And you go, yeah, no, that's not really how this works. So this is part and parcel with trying to get things off the ground. I've said this a million times. Ideas, concepts, it's cheap. What matters is getting something to actually be made physically. A team matters much more than a concept, right? So, I think it's good to have people have visibility into this process. And of course, what all of you have done via Patreon is allow us to build a team, and then you can see the output of the team. And part of what we're pitching when you look at this presentation about what we want to do, it's the team. This slide, maybe more than any other slide in the presentation, matters in the sense that seeing a bunch of people and companies who've committed and government agencies who've committed to the thing we're trying to build is almost more important than the thing we're trying to build. So, we'll see.
Yeah, it's glad to be appreciated from people like Ryder Studios and everyone.
Thank you, Ryder Studios.
Ray Weatherford super chats to ask, are there only 2 Otherland videos available? Yep,
yes.
Only 2 was made.
This is correct.
So, there you go. Just the 2.
Alrighty. All right, we're going to do this thing. So we're going to spam. What are they going to spam?
So, because it's for the necklace, some necklacey question, perhaps.
Well, you could just ask them what their favorite alchemical symbol is.
Could do.
So we do have Mars and Venus, as Martin called them, male and female. We have Mercury, we have Luna, the moon, and we have Jupiter presented here. And so these are the necklaces you're going to win. One of you, one lucky, insane child, will win these necklaces. So spam it up with your favorite alchemical symbol, and we will do the thing.
We will.
My favorite of these symbols is probably Mercury. I like this character a lot because Mercury is a liquid, but it's also a metal, and it is, behind the concept of being mercurial. It is behind the concept of change. So I'm a big fan of change because change is a lot like chaos. So if you were going to have a sort of alchemical representation of the concept of change or of the state of change, it might be Mercury.
I guess so.
What do you think? What do you like out of the moon and Mercury and
maybe the moon, Luna. It's kind of simple. Got a cool name.
Luna.
Luna. I'll go for Luna. Why not? Out of those 5.
You know that is the origin of the word lunatic.
I think I probably did.
Yeah, so apparently people have known for a very long time that the full moon seems to make people a bit nutty. And so the root of the word lunatic is coming from the moon, Luna.
Right.
I might have just made that up. All right, so we're going to do this thing. I'm going to scroll the thingy back and forth a bunch.
I'm going to sort of kind of point at it, but then... Are we ready?
Sure.
Right. Let's go near the top this time.
Okay. Clown. Hey, don't stab the monitor. Clown cadaver.
Clown cadaver.
Clown cadaver. I think Clown cadaver has won something in the past.
I think for sure that is true.
It's really strange. You'd think that this was fixed when it was Nightbot selecting the same people over and over again, and then here we are. But anyway, Clown Cadaver, you have won the alchemy necklaces. I think you know the routine. You got to send an email to mysterious@americanmcgee.com, include your name, your phone number, your mailing address, and also mention the fact that you have won these here alchemy necklaces.
Well done.
Well done.
For being randomly chosen.
Yes, that was a good one. So congratulations, Clown Cadaver, and thank you, everybody who joined us today and played along.
And maybe next week we'll actually have an automated system working.
Wouldn't that be incredible? Before we do go away and leave you all to the rest of your week and your upcoming weekend, let us scroll quickly through all the things that you can do to help support the work we are doing.
Do the things.
Do the things. Get jiggy with it, governor. So this is at AmericanMcGee.com, and this is the place where you go if you want to support our efforts on Alice Asylum. I have fixed up, look at this logo. It's like actually on a white background and it fits into the page now. I don't know, this page was...
What was wrong with it last time?
I mean, it just looked like MySpace. It was terrible. So I've cleaned it up a bit. There is a mailing list. Please sign up for the mailing list. That is an excellent way to be aligned up a bit. So there you go. You can also go over to Patreon. This is where we are making all the art and all the design, and you, our insane children, are helping to make all that happen. So you can now sign up and join us as we develop this Cheshire cat plush, Cheshire kitten plush. And of course, you will get art and updates before anyone else, and there are art prints and all kinds of fun stuff going on there. Last but not least, there is mysterious.american. There was a new thing she did. It was like the bloody, oh, there you go. She did a bloody dress.
I like that.
Come on. But yeah, links in the description below. Like, subscribe.